overall, the segregated fee provides support, structure, programming, and events for students that aren't academic or aren't essential. The difference between allocable and non-allocable is sort of like the length and the concreteness of the funding. So allocable is generally short-term, year by year by year. Non-allocable is something longer term, like let's say 2+ year contract, debt services on a building, keeping the building up, items like that. Yeah, so that's anything from the Children's Learning Center to Norris Health Center to the Union. All of these are fixed expenses for the university to provide services for students. There has been a transition of athletics allocable funds to non-allocable funds because many of the services, programs, and expenses that were allocable actually fit the non-allocable description of being a fixed longer-term expense. So athletics is now primarily funded on the non-allocable side, as is much of the UW system athletic programs. Okay, I'm going to read this off a list so I don't get it wrong. Almost entirely funded off of allocable. So Maverick receives a lot of external funds. However, compared to its overall segregated fee budget, it still is mostly allocable. The Women's Resource Center, the Center for Community-Based Learning, Leadership, and Research is also mostly allocable. It does receive external funds to program, but a lot of the services provided are done through allocable seg fees. The Inclusive Excellence Center, again, some external funding to provide the basis to fund programs that otherwise wouldn't be at UWM through the IEC. The Student Allocations Committee, which funds all the registered student organizations, is entirely allocable. The LGBT Resource Center, aside from a few mini grants to fuel some of the projects they're working on, is almost entirely allocable. Pavilion parking, Northwest Quadrant parking, University Park and Ride, UPass, the bus pass program, and BOSS are entirely allocable. Athletics is now almost entirely non-allocable, with only a portion being allocable. Student Association professional staff oversees Student Association, they're entirely allocable. Neighborhood Housing Office, entirely allocable. University Legal Clinic, entirely allocable. Sport clubs, super small percentage. External funding, almost entirely allocable. Green Fund, entirely allocable. And Student Association, entirely allocable. And Office of Student Life Administration, which oversees many of those departments, is entirely allocable. Yeah, I mean, right now it's going to be a year-by-year evaluation. The first year, I think everybody's going to downsize. The power of the allocable dollar won't go as far as it has in the past, with students possibly opting out. And then year after year after year, either the students opting in are going to have to pay more, or the services are going to severely downsize and eventually close doors. So a lot of folks that are for this sort of agree that seg fees on the allocable side almost go entirely to registered student organizations. At UW-Milwaukee, that's not the case. It takes roughly $13.25 per student to fund all of the registered student organizations on campus, and students are currently paying $229.50 in allocable seg fees. So that's less than 10% of the total budget goes to fuel the registered student organizations on campus, and those do so much already for being such a small part of the budget.
A lot of people posit that students don't really care about how high the seg fees get. That's actually not true. The students on the committee have actually voted to decrease the total amount of seg fees coming in by hundreds of thousands of dollars over the last few years. A lot of the different services that allocable fees actually fund, such as the Women's Resource Center, the Military and Veterans Resource Center, the LGBT Resource Center, are very largely dependent and if not fully funded by allocable fees. If these centers are to close down, which would probably happen if you make segregated fees opt out, these populations, which already have a higher stop-out rate than the average person, would actually have devastating consequences for these populations. They really do add to the diversity of this school. I know a lot of students that have told me personally that if it wasn't for the LGBT Resource Center, if it wasn't for the Military and Veterans Resource Center, they wouldn't still be in school. And I think it's the least we can do to ask every student to pay just a little bit extra each year to dramatically increase the overall retention rates of students that are most vulnerable.